Everyone's here.
Hello, Steve.
Hello, everyone. I guess we'll call it to order. It's 6:32. My apologies for not logging in until 6:30. And roll call, it says. Everyone's here. I'm not sure we have to go through a roll call.
That's not
Yeah. Plus we have two guests. And all right. Public comment for items not on the agenda? None? All right. Consent items. I'll move to approve the consent items. Somebody want a second?
A second.
It was Misha. Okay. Kevin, do you want, I think items, the financial report, the meeting minutes, the check register, and the general manager's report are pretty standard. And people have had time to review them. The resolution, do you have anything to say about the resolution listing key executives for the Wells Fargo bank account?
Yes, that ended up being a whole lot trickier than we had ever imagined. That was the reason why this entire packet was, a little bit later than expected. Originally, the plan was to have all board members become key executives for the Wells Fargo without ones who don't have any conflicts of interest. We ran into a couple issues with that, which we've been able to unblock some of them. The key issue for the key executives was that apparently all of the directors would have to go to the branch at the same time, and that can't work. And that's by the rules that we were told. So unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So for now, what we'll do is maybe just have the vice chair and the chair be key executives. And we're looking into other options. So tomorrow I have a meeting with the district auditor to see what other districts do to try to manage their spending accounts. So we'll look for other options, and I'll have a nice report for that next month on what other districts do, and then the board can decide, whether having 2 key executives is enough, and then we can make the other board members signers, or whether there's something different that we can do. So not much information because that meeting is tomorrow.
Yeah, it's never been this insane before just to get signatories on the bank account. But anyway, so yeah, I was there at the bank with him yesterday trying to make sure we got the wording right, and we'll see. If this one won't fly, we'll have another one next month. But we're trying. It's like I say, I'm not sanguine about the fact that we need more backup than just me and Misha. In case.
And I just want to remind everybody, I cannot be on anything Wells Fargo related. Okay, thank you.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that causes its own problems. So, yeah. All right. Well, is there any other discussion on these items? Do you have any subsequent stuff to bring up? Because I just noticed you sent us the update 2 minutes before I saw you guys in person. So I didn't see that went out at 4:30 this afternoon. So anyway, okay. Is there any objection to the consent items? All in favor? All right, unanimously passed. All right, on to item 4.1. Who should take charge of that?
So this is the strategic plan. I wasn't sure if, do you have the strategic plan up, or do you want me to bring it up, Martin?
Are you talking to me? I do have it, yes.
Okay.
Do you want me to share?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see here, it's not going. Is it sharing now?
Yes.
Okay, let's do this. Let's make it a little bigger. You had seen this document. Well, first of all, hello, everybody. It's nice to be here and nice to see you all again. This document, you had essentially seen it a month ago. And what's different about it is just details. You hopefully had a chance to review it. I'll just look at the contents here. I don't remember exactly, and I didn't go look what was in it last time, but you had basically the basics last time. The facility quick tour, public input, mission, vision, values, goals, and objectives. And then we have a bunch of appendices. And I think I may have the wrong version with too many appendices. Kevin, is that right? Yeah, but we can ignore that. You can point out which ones are not supposed to be there.
I think it's 7 and 8 aren't there.
Yeah, 7 and 8 are not here. Pretend you don't see them. And I think we're just asking, I don't know if any of you want to review anything or have any discussion, but I'm guessing that all we need is to ask you, do you have questions? Do you have comments? Do you have any suggested changes? Otherwise, this may be very brief and very simple.
You do have two mission statements there.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. There you go. So this was the one you had all kind of put together a while ago. And in just reviewing everything and editing, I thought this was a slightly cleaner version, getting rid of the two and just moving residents and visitors and quality of life different. You can read it. I think the second one is a little better. It's very minor stuff, very just at the level of grammar kind of stuff. But it would be useful to see if anybody agrees or disagrees that the second one is better, or you want to keep the first one.
I think the second one's cleaner.
Yeah. Was that Nupur?
Yep, that was me.
Okay.
Fine by me. They're identical as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the level of, fifth grade English teachers or something. My goodness. So good, unless there's any other comment. I believe that may be about it.
19, you might spell scuba with a C, scuba lessons.
Where is that?
Keep going down to actually 20.
Page 20.
Yeah, your internal page 20. I found a lot of other typos in here, but that's okay.
I think he's talking about the raw notes, the appendices.
Yeah, so 20. Oh, scuba lessons.
Yeah.
That's a kind of dance that people were commenting on. I'm joking.
Anyway.
Okay, so scuba, we'll get that.
Yeah.
And anything else people want to bring to our attention?
I think, Kevin, in the version we were supposed to see tonight, without Appendix 7 and 8, corrected many other typographical errors I gave him before. So.
Okay, so good. So you had given those to Kevin?
Yeah.
Okay, good then. Kevin, will you get me the final version?
Yes.
Anybody else? Any other comments?
Oh, I noticed on 15 service, it says we exist for one reason only, to serve pool users.
Yes.
Actually, we do more than that.
Service.
Yeah, so let's see. I've got it down for, the thing about page 15. Here we go.
Let me. I'm looking at the other version right now.
I think we would need the page. Let me see.
Two more pages.
Two more pages.
Page 6.
Yeah.
16 or 6?
15.
I think it's the packet 15, but for your report, it would probably be page 6.
Okay, I see.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's my fault. I should have just pulled up the packet.
Vision. Here we go. Services.
Where is that on this page?
I'm looking. Maybe it's not. I guess not. Anyway, somewhere in here it said that we exist for one reason only, to serve pool users. Yeah, and I go, well, we serve more than pool users, and I can't remember where it is.
Martin, you can just Control F and look for one reason. That'll find it for you in the document.
Okay, good. One reason. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
service. We're here for one reason only, to serve the users of Rancho Pool and meet their recreational needs.
So this is the vision. What is this? The vision, the values. We are here, and so
We could change the word pool to park.
park.
Yeah, because
Okay.
and that would make more sense.
Okay. Good.
Anyway, like I said, I could quibble with a lot of small things, but Kevin and I discussed this, and he says I should look at this in an overview point of view. This is a general purpose document that shows where we want to head, and the actual details may be a little off. You get nitpicky all over the place on them.
Okay.
But it serves as its intention is to serve as a general directional document for where are we headed and what do we need to do to get there. Did I summarize that well, Kevin?
Yeah.
So, like I say, there are a lot of minor errors I could pick up, but I didn't make them in line. So,
Okay. All right. Well, thank you then. And I would encourage the board to refer to this periodically about oversight, and remember that periodically you should be making sure that, I'm sure Kevin is very diligent, but make sure that the projects are, moving along and that they're getting reported on. And if you have a question about any of it, it's your plan really. Ultimately, it's a board level plan. I know there's work plan items in it, but all of the main stuff, all these goals and stuff belong to the board really. So, well, good. Are there any other comments, questions? Otherwise, maybe we're done. Kevin, you and I can coordinate on these last couple of edits and we'll make sure it's cleaned up. Excellent. I think I hope it serves you well. It's been fantastic getting to know the Rancho Pool and all of you. And I'll be paying a little attention. I don't live too far from you. And as I mentioned maybe at the beginning, my wife grew up in the neighborhood. So she went swimming in there and didn't have a membership, used to sneak in and climb over the fence, get quarters to get in with her buddies. So she was a very bad girl at Rancho Pool and has a lot of great memories doing that. Great. Does that close it up?
Actually, I think we need a motion and a second for the final adoption.
Okay, good.
I'm motion it. Nupur.
I'll second Kevin.
Assuming we fix those typos, yeah, I don't have a problem.
We'll fix them.
Yeah, all right. All right, well then, any other discussion? No? Then I'll call the question. Anyone object to approving the final, this draft of the district strategic plan? I hear no objections. So unanimous. All right.
All right.
Fantastic. All right. do I need to stop my share? And
There we go.
it's all yours.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Martin.
I'll leave you to your meeting.
All right, well, the next item on the agenda is adopt a resolution supporting the district's continued existence and governance as an independent special district. So, where's that resolution?
Can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a pretty important document. It's on new letterhead, by the way. So that's kind of also exciting. But this is the resolution that would, if adopted, state the district's intention to remain an independent special district. And it goes through a lot of the steps that were taken to arrive at this decision. And of course, it'll be right here. Basically, this is the meat of it. And because of all of the steps that we've gone through, including surveys, including the strategic planning, as a result of the city's own staff reports that mention significant amounts of money and uncertainty with a consolidation with the city. Because of that, the board finds that it's in the best interest of the district residents for the district to remain an independent special district. That was the feedback that we received both at the public workshops and also at the board workshops as well. So this would be the resolution that sets all of that into motion. Are there any questions about the resolution? Oh, Steve, I think you're on mute.
I mean, it could have been done many different ways. It looks pretty good. I mean, in terms of trying to give the reason behind the resolution, without getting into more detail, making this into a 50-page resolution, there's a lot. So, yeah, I wonder why the second part of the, you have item 1 and then item 2 is like half a page, on the next page, half a page down. There's a reason for separating it. Yeah.
So this document is, most resolutions are basically written in legalese with a lot of help from the attorneys at county council.
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure what the specific reason is, but they felt this is the best way. So
You might want to spell my name correctly where I'm going to sign.
okay, we're going with the end.
Yeah, but that's the only correction I can see to make, is my name is misspelled. It's missing a W.
What? A W?
Yeah, WESOLOWSK.
Oh, wow, I can't believe we didn't catch that.
I can't believe I didn't see it either.
Yeah.
Anyway, that can be done, before I sign it.
Right.
Anyway, so I guess if I understand correctly, one of the reasons for this is to publicly declare our intentions as to remaining a independent special district, and we believe as a board that that's the best way to go, and I have no disagreement with that. And it looks like our other board members, from what I've, by their quietness, are agreeing the same way. Does anybody else have anything to say about this? No? Okay. Well, we could no more comments on this? Or corrections? Yeah, the reason for the new letterhead is the bank wouldn't take our letterhead unless it had our address on it too.
Oh,
And our full name. The old letterhead didn't have recreation and park district, so it's a minor point, but anyway, more bank stuff. Anyway, all right, well, I'll call the question. You want to poll the members?
Do we have a motion in a second?
No, actually, you're right. My apologies. I got ahead of us. Yeah, I'll move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
And that was Kevin. Who we,
Was that Nicole?
Yeah.
oh, okay. All right. No further comments? All right. Then should we poll the people, Kevin, for legal reasons?
Sure. Yeah. Director Bajaj,
Yay.
Director Chow,
Yay.
Director Seppi,
Yay.
Director Racy,
Yay.
Director Wastowski.
Yay. So unanimously ayes. No noes, no absent, no abstentions. All right. Well, on to 4.3.
Great. All right. So this is a discussion and direction to staff on the planning of a future special board meeting for board member orientation. Normally, what we do in January is we have kind of a holiday lunch, and this is meant as an opportunity for the board to meet in a social setting to get to know each other better, to gain trust with each other. It's kind of a team building activity. But this might also be a good time to actually do other functions such as talk about district history and whatnot. And I figured with COVID restrictions kind of lifting, with the dangers kind of subsiding, that maybe it's time to look at doing this event sometime later this summer. We could agendize it, we can post it. That way, if anyone wants to talk about district business, that's fine. It would be in a public setting, and any member of the public could attend if they really wanted to. And I wanted to get some feedback on A, if that's of interest, and B, if anyone has any ideas on, where, if anyone has a preference. I wasn't sure if that's, we could even do it at Rancho and cater in, that's fine as well. And maybe we could do that district tour that you all have missed out on. So with that, does anyone have any comments or questions?
I didn't quite hear the last sentence.
Oh, comments or questions? Or we could meet at Rancho and do the district tour so that all the board members can actually get acquainted with the inner workings of Rancho and see where all the magic happens.
I think the tour would be good. Yeah, that'll be nice.
Yeah, I think, in the past, we did this just to get to know each other better as a dinner or a lunch, whatever worked best at a local restaurant. But I think you're right. Bringing in some sandwiches or something like that later in the summer after things have settled down, and just getting together at the facility itself would be useful. The other day I was in signing checks, and for instance, Kevin Chow happened to be there, and he'd just never been in the office before. And I said, yeah, this is where I come to sign the checks, and there's Kevin's desk, and I go, yeah, that's right. I mean, with the lockdown, it's possible. Who hasn't actually, seen the whole facility? I would say probably all of you except me, perhaps. I don't know.
I've
And
seen only the pool part. Just
Yeah.
been to the pool. That's it.
you can see the pool by looking over the fence, but yeah.
This was not anytime recently. This was about a couple of years ago when I just did my scuba lessons over there.
Okay, so. And in terms of meeting staff, that might be more facilitating too, Kevin. So, but you're right. In terms of stuff that's on the staff's agenda for the next week, it's going to be insane. Or so this will probably be better put off for a month or two. Normally, we would have done it in the spring, but, you know, this is a atypical year. Let's put it that way. You know, we all know that. So, but it's still good to get together and yeah, if we're going to announce that it could be a public, if all of us are going to get together and for the Brown Act, actually talk about anything to do with the district, then it would probably be better held there, you know, to be transparent. So what do you think, Kevin? I think I pretty much stated why it makes more sense there, but we'll figure it out. You know.
Does July work, or are we looking at more of an August timeframe?
July works for me.
July works for me.
Either works for me. I think just towards the end of August is when I'll be going to school. So
Okay,
Me
Okay.
too.
great.
Well,
Perfect. I'll work with council to get an appropriate agenda and get some planning done. With any luck too, I can get some of the other management staff to come in and introduce themselves as well. That way you can get to know not just myself, but also some of the other people who are very important to keep Rancho running.
Right. And you can find out, when trying to figure out a time, you can also try and find out if anybody has any special dietary needs.
Oh,
Yeah. But I tend to favor, I don't know whether a weekend works better or not, but it seems like it might. I don't know. We'll see what we can do. It's a good intention. So anything else on that? Any other ideas? Okay. Well then, we don't have any action to take, but our information and discussion items in item 5 are, well, first was the recognition of the passing of district employee Ken Foster. And he was an employee longer than I've been on the board. So,
Wow.
you know, so it's, anyway, it's sad, but, you know, nothing to be done. Decent guy. I'm sure a few of you knew him, one or two of you knew him, met him, but he generally tended to work at nights in the last few years he worked here. So you almost never saw him. Anyway, on to the policies 4100 series. Are there any corrections, suggested corrections to those that any board members have? No?
Kevin, do you think you could switch out what you're sharing for the agenda so that we can kind of see it?
Thank you. I found I spent less time reading those because my mistake on the strategic plan is I read all the comments. You know, it went on for pages and pages that aren't part of the final report in the end. That took a while. So, I remember reviewing these when we passed them. So, any suggested changes? Did people have a chance to look at these? I hope. Okay, good. All right.
and we might actually have a chance to use the policy 4115 later this year for putting together a committee to take a look at our financial reports to make sure that they're as easy to read and transparent as possible. So, so that something coming later this year.
Okay. Good for that heads up. Yeah, because I can't see much reason for changing the rest of them. You know. They're pretty straightforward and simple. As simple as they can be. Well, it seems absurdly soon to move for adjournment. But anybody else have anything else?
I actually wanted to know, do you know if there's going to be any changes coming up with the July or June 15th changes in California? Have you kind of,
Yeah, we could jump back to the manager's report for that.
Yeah. So as far as I know, there's no changes. So
yeah,
actually, maybe I should talk a little bit about the what's going on. So this weekend is going to be a massive training. This is an all hands employee training this weekend. We're training everyone on everything again, as we do every year, to make sure that on Monday we have the smoothest, most professional rollout possible. There's always little things that happen, but we always try to keep it as smooth as possible. Now, I don't think we're going to be making any changes to the policy for masking and social distancing, at least for the first little while, even if we're not required by the state to do these anymore. I think that really a lot of people feel a lot more comfortable if at least staff is wearing masks and making an attempt to social distance. So sometime this week, if not already, it might have even gone out today, we're emailing all of our patrons the summer plan for going through the facility. So it'll be a one-way flow. You come in one entrance, you leave through a different entrance. And I don't see any change to that coming up for us anytime soon. We're not required to do it probably as of June 15th, but I think that for the most part, we're all used to it at this point, and I think people would feel less comfortable if all of a sudden we just mask off. We'll be reviewing that throughout the summer, but I think right now the winds are kind of, pointing to the direction that sort of stay masked and separated. For our swim instructors, we actually have a clear face shield. And for the most part, most of our staff is actually either fully vaccinated or they've taken one shot and they're either waiting for the second shot or they're waiting for the 2 weeks. So generally, I think that we're really well positioned for whatever happens this summer. Not to mention we're outdoor and there's a ton of UV light all over the place and we're all waiting in a pool of bleach. So I think we'll be okay. Did I answer your question?
yeah, I kind of meant more about the other uses. Like, are we going to open up for more events at, or no? Like
Yes.
taking bookings? Okay.
Yeah, so lessons are starting on Monday. We're starting off with 4 lessons at a time for session 1, which is going to be the first 2 weeks starting on Monday. And then that's 33% of our normal capacity for swim lessons. It's virtually empty. And then starting session 2, which is at the end of June, we're going to bump that up to 8 instructors at a time. That's about 66% of our normal load. In addition to that, we have our swim camp, which also starts on Monday with a capacity of 20 students, our campers. And we're actually starting to expand our swim team again, which shrank down to about 30 swimmers throughout 2020. And we did not add more. Other than that, let me see, we've got our public swim program coming online. So for the first time, we'll have public swimmers. That's kind of exciting. It's a little bit less than our usual, unfortunately. So public swim did get cut a little bit. That was because when we first did our summer plan, we told all of our swim camp parents that their kids would have the pool by themselves. And when it turned out that we actually had to open, we ended up being like, okay, well, we're going to have to share the pool, but if the swim camp kids will have their own section of the pool. So unfortunately, we couldn't quite do the normal public swim where everyone's commingled. So for this one, swim camp will be one end, and then lap swim will be lanes 1, 2, and 3. So other than that, I think that's about it. We do have more scuba rentals. So actually the scuba company is going to be doing weekend classes now at night.
And so the maximum number of people we'll have in the pool during open swim right now is?
The maximum possible is 40. Most likely there'll be much less. So with the square footage of our pool, the code is, it's something ridiculous like 144 people. We never let 144 people in the pool. 100 is our capacity, just because 144, I don't know if we came up with those numbers, but that's insane. So we cap it at 100, And what we're doing is we're metering people as they come in. So up to 20 people can reserve to come at a certain time, and they can stay for up to 2 hours. So if 2 waves of 20 people come, then up to 40 people could be in the pool at the same time. But you know, the Rancho pool is quite big, and 40 people is not that many. So there'll be plenty of space.
All right. Yeah, we'll see. Like I say, it's uncharted territory, you know, starting Monday. It's all new. And you have a lot of training to do this weekend. So
Yep.
that was a good question for, you know, because it's we'll see what happens. I think that's the closest we can come to reality is we haven't been there yet. And I also think in terms of masking, every day on the, from what I could see from OSHA and from the governor, who's been quiet lately on that subject, and the June 15th deadline of opening up the state, I think you're right. For the time being, and you also have pointed out some of our employees are more comfortable too keeping masks, and I think being since safety is our number one important thing, that's the safest approach.
I think so too. I think it's smart to just be overcautious at this point because you don't want to be the source of people getting infections.
Right.
Just do that. Yeah.
None of us want to get sick, you know, and I agree with him. I've spent enough time in the pool since the pandemic came around to say, yeah, being surrounded by bleach seems pretty safe in a lot of ways, and not touching anybody around me, you know. So, but you never know. So, and I'm another issue I can bring up on that isn't really on the agenda is luckily we use chlorine in a liquid form for our pool because there are 2 things I'm worried about, but they're not worth agendizing. But I might as well mention. One is chlorine availability because of the plant that burned in Louisiana last year that made 80% of it or whatever. And luckily, we mainly use liquid chlorine. 2, the drought. They could conceivably say no refilling swimming pools, you know, or something like that, which would cut us off. You know, we'll see. You know. But you can't deal with something that isn't real yet. So I just wanted to bring that up for everybody else. If you hadn't thought of it, I feel you probably did. But those are 2 concerns that can screw us up in terms of going forward, right, Kevin? You know, I mean, we use some tablets, but not many.
Yeah, that's right. So we've actually stocked up on extra dry chlorine. So we have our liquid chlorine, and we also have some powder. So we should be okay, at least for a while, if there's a slight delay in shipment, at least for maybe a week or 2, we could push it out. Unfortunately, the water filling is not a solvable thing. We can't store water. But one thing I'm hoping for is that if those mandatory cuts come, I'm hoping they just make us cut the lawn watering first, because I mean, it's okay to have a little bit of brown grass. But the pool would be very difficult.
Did that happen last time we were in a drought? Was it shut down, the pool?
No. The last time I think they limited the grass watering, but I heard that there was a time where Southern California actually had to stop watering their backyard pools. And that's when modern skateboarding on a half pipe was born, because people started skating in the pools.
Wow. Okay.
Makes sense.
But to my knowledge, it hasn't happened up here, so.
Anyway, there are possibilities. I just wanted to bring them up. You know, hopefully they're not going to happen, but there are things to keep in mind. You know, we're doing thanks to Kevin and the rest of our staff, we're doing everything we can to serve as many people as we can safely. So we're still, I'm still proud of the fact that we're actually open, and not many pools are, you know, so we'll see what happens. Anything else? Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for bearing with me for another 10 minutes. So,
One quick question, Kevin. So like Steve mentioned, I was able to use the pool. It's actually really nice. But I think the transition, so the transition to a cashless system, is it difficult because of some accounting procedure for special districts, or is it like, what's the reason for that? Where it can only be paid for with cash and it can't be done like digitally.
Oh, it can be, and it will be, because that was in the strategic plan. The difficulty is a couple things. First is that because we're a special district, we have higher accounting standards, right? If you own and run your own business, you don't have to prove to anyone that $A came from this place to that place,
Yeah.
right? We do, and we get audited every year. So, we have a very high standard for how things are done. We need to have a very robust paper trail for everything coming in and everything going out. These are public dollars, right? And so that part is solvable. But if you have a larger district, you have more money to do these things.
Yeah.
For us, we have a patchwork of smaller systems that don't talk to each other. And so we have a point of sale, which is completely separate from our lesson registration system, which is completely separate from our lap swim reservation system. And so if you now add in a credit card, those systems don't talk to each other. So now if someone comes in and they pay online for a swim lesson, but then they come in person for a refund, what happens? Right? And then the data coming through the point of sale system is not going to be all of our sales anymore. And so now you have multiple streams, and then you have multiple training levels, because you have to train your office staff on what to do. And they may not be able to do certain things. Like right now, our office staff, they can take money on a point of sale, but then we send a check back for refunds. Maybe that's the solution, I don't know. But it gets to be, I guess, making sure that all of these systems kind of work together is going to be trickier. And then also making sure that we keep a good paper trail for all of these. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm just wondering, with that, so that makes sense, but I'm guessing with that in mind, would it make sense just to change the entire system to go into one accounting system? Like you said, if there's a hodgepodge of different things that everybody's using, does it make more sense to just say, hey, look, let's do away with those, change everything into one system where, I'm fairly certain there's some kind of program where it can kind of combine everything, rather than, having like a calendaring system or a booking system and a payment system, like all these different things. It seems like there should be one robust solution that maybe can do everything.
That is probably what will be the easiest transition also.
There are systems like that. I do know of them.
Yeah.
The difference, and this is, remember when I mentioned at the very beginning, we're very small. So it all comes down to this. It's all money.
Yep.
So those systems generally, what you're looking at is a lot of them, you do pay up front for the implementation. And then after that, they take usually somewhere around 5% of everything you run through their system. So 5% is actually kind of a lot. So if that's acceptable, then that's the route we go. But if that's not acceptable, then we'll have to look for different solutions.
Gotcha.
So in the fall, once things kind of calm down from an operational standpoint, we'll be reviewing all options.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. So I guess that's still TBD or in process. And I guess, okay. Because I noticed too, we tried to sign our son up for swim lessons, and then it was kind of those things where, and luckily he got in, but it was kind of one of those, like, hey, you have to come to the office to drop off a physical check by a certain time or a date, and there wasn't like a way to make that payment as well. So, but yeah, that makes sense if it's different systems. But I guess it's just, it's great that we're offering these programs. It's just, I guess it makes it a lot less. It makes it more frictionless if you can just say, hey, look, I'll pay for this, without a check or something like that. So okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. And that's you definitely ran into one of those separate systems. We have the registration system, but not the payment system. And we're kind of working towards that. And unfortunately, we hoped that Jackrabbit would be our system.
Yeah.
And it seems to work okay. We haven't connected the payment system. It seems to work okay. It's kind of messy on the back end, unfortunately. One of the bigger issues we're running into is that each system has a terrible flaw with our fee structure. So I think Jackrabbit would work really well. The system that you use would work really well for accepting payments for swim lessons, but it will not work well for lap swim reservations.
Gotcha.
And
Thought of actually getting on some software interns. Yeah, they'll customize it for you.
yeah, implementation is not a
Right?
problem. It's the maintenance that's an issue. We've had people because we've had different systems before, and sometimes we'll have a system for a while, and then whoever built it leaves for college, and then we're stuck with a system we can't maintain. So yeah, but rest assured, in the fall, once things calm down, we will 100% be looking into every possible solution.
Great. And then also I noticed, just kind of from a pool standpoint, this is probably much further down the road, but I noticed that you have that kind of lap swim area, and then you have the free swim area where it's like the shallow end, right? And that's the main pool area. And then I noticed that big space kind of behind the awning. There's like a big space there. I was wondering, like, from a utilization standpoint, is that area, like, is that I know pre kind of COVID, you guys are looking into maybe making the pool more accessible during the winter months when it's typically less utilized, and that would kind of entail like an indoor, like some kind of tarp or something, right? But what about that area? Is that like also like that area is just it seemed to me it was very underutilized, and then also the play structure, right? That area too. It's probably, like, I don't know how often that's utilized. I haven't, seen many people there, but I also haven't been there that often. But like, do those areas like are those pretty underutilized? Like, so one, the back area probably nobody uses, but like even like the play structure, is that utilized at all? Like from what you've heard from staff?
Yeah, no, the play structure in the summer it gets pretty full. Right now it's underutilized probably because we were required to have a padlock on it.
Sure.
So I think people have kind of gotten used to that. We'll have to remove the padlock and make it very clear that it's open. So that does actually get a lot of use. The back lawn, you're 100% correct. That space there doesn't get a lot of use. And the grass there is very unpleasant on the feet. So people generally stay off the grass.
Okay.
But on a crowded day, I've seen it pretty covered by people.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe, keeping that in mind is just kind of, and it doesn't have, like, I don't know, right? I don't know what would make sense to go there. But that's, I mean, if there are the funds and then kind of the desire to utilize more of the space there, that could be an option too. Because I do think the awning's really nice. You can kind of sit there, but then you have that back lawn area that didn't seem very utilized. But again, I'm not too familiar with kind of the history of utilization for the pool area. So, but that was just some very quick observations, because that was actually my first time using it, being at the pool when I saw Steve, and then so it was just really interesting. But I think, I think those are just kind of some first feedback thoughts that I saw when I was there. I'm sure if I use it more, then I'll have some more feedback.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful, and I'm really glad that you came to use the facility. It helps give a more rounded picture of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so I think the strategic plan that just passed, part of that is going to be that site master plan. And I think I'll try to get that moving along so that we can take that feedback that you're getting right now and put that back into the master plan to say, what can we do with this backlog? So that's going to be really helpful.
Yeah, because the problem is every time we come up with, it's got solutions, but every time we come up with a use for something like that, you run into another regulation that says, oh, if we put, for instance, if we build this, in our long range plan, if it's determined to build a second pool, Kevin made me aware of the fact that you need to put in a totally separate sterilization structure for that. You can't combine equipment for two pools. They have to have separate systems, which means they need a building to put them in, things like that. So, and then much as I'd like to go closer to the creek, the edge of the pool is the setback. That's as close as we can get to the creek. Where you see lane 1, the outside of the pool, that's it. Because of the mandatory setbacks. So anyway, you run into problems, but long range planning hopefully will change over time. But we got to look at what we can do with what we have. Reality always has limitations on it. I agree. It's great to hear the ideas because we've heard them, and some of us have said them, and they're like, "Oh, that won't work." But explaining why is a long-term discussion. So, all right. Well, hey, I'm glad we didn't adjourn, at 7 o'clock, and you guys got some more questions answered. Any more questions answered? Because we're not seeing each other in person, and I'm glad to get answers to your questions. Because the rest of us hear them and hear the questions and the answers. So, anything else? No? Well, thank you again for getting together. And with any luck, we'll have at least a system for signing checks for at least 4 members of the board. I understand 1 member can't. That's okay. More than just me. My concern is something happens to me, I get run over crossing the street. Can't sign any more checks, but actually, as Kevin's pointed out, our vice chair can technically sign now. So that part's covered. But anyway, the rules just get more complex. So it's 7:24, and anybody want to? Do we move to adjourn? I forgot.
Yep, I'll move to adjourn.
All right, I'll second it. And if there's no objections, fine. If you guys want to stay around and talk a few minutes longer, that's fine. Thank you also to Jennifer for coming to our meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys are a delight, an absolute delight.
Oh, thank you. I'm not sure I go that far, but we're good though.
Well, you're just, you guys are great. So really, honestly.
We're trying our best. Okay. Well, anybody else? No?
I have a question for Kevin. Kevin, I've noticed this car in the parking lot that's been there for about a month now. Is it an employee's car or is it somebody just parking there?
It's Kevin's car.
No, it's not Kevin's car. I asked
no,
about the car, and it is.
Go ahead.
It's been sitting there for a while. It's not moving at all.
No, it's Ken Foster's car.
And we have to get back to the coroner to find out if they found a relative or somebody who wants it. Yeah, I see it every time I pull in the parking lot. And
I was just wondering because there's so many people living in cars right now. That was kind of a little bit concerning, but that's totally okay. Yeah.
I have a feeling that within the next month we'll have to get with the coroner who has the key to have something done.
Yeah, as long as we know whose car it is, I'm good. I just, because I live so close, I was getting a little concerned. Yeah.
I know. Well, part of the problem is my ex-mailman from 15 years ago over at the other house, I called him a couple of days ago and to find out if anybody, maybe the postmaster might have some clue, but our employee retired from the post office over 5 years ago. So I don't know that they have any current relatives. He may not have any relatives. So we may just have to have it towed, sadly. So, because you're right, we got 24 nominal spaces and it takes up one of them. So and we need it more as we get busier. Thank you for bringing that up. But that's whose car it is. Any other questions? That was a good question.
I just got a little concerned because it's been sitting there. I see it every time I'm going in and out. So it was just,
And I go, damn, what are we going to do about this?
He's still there and it's not moved because it's covered with dust. So I was just wanting to make sure we know whose it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, dead people aren't supposed to drive their cars. I think that's so. There's some guy who owns a Tesla, though, who seems to think that should be possible. But anyway, they keep arresting him. So he's crazier than I am. So anyway, I hear no objection to adjournment. We'll adjourn. I mean, we were adjourned.